Yes.
Starting.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, all. We have got 108
Yeah.
participants in this interactive session with Ms Safna Nazarudeen. Let me begin today's evening with a quote by Walt Disney. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Today, we have with us one person who had immense courage to pursue her dreams of being an IAS officer and doing service to the society. Her dreams were our dreams too, as she is our student, a KV student. On behalf of KV Pattam, Shift 1 and 2, and it is a matter of great pride and joy personally to welcome Ms. Safna to this interactive session with the students of KV Pattam. Safna Nazarudeen, who studied at KV SAP, scored A1 in all her subjects in 10th standard, went on to study humanities at KV Pangur, and she was the national highest or national topper in humanities uh, that year. She went on to do her undergraduation at Maruvanius in BA Economics, and she was ranked first in Kerala University. Her success doesn't end there. After that, she enrolled for the IAS training, and in her first attempt, she was the 45th rank holder national level, and in Kerala, she was the third rank holder. So we are very proud indeed to welcome one of our students, a KV student, to our midst and to interact with our students at KV Pattam. May I invite our principal, Sri Ajay Kumar sir, to accord a formal welcome to our guest. So please.
Honorable guest of today, Ms Safna Nazarudeen, my dear staff members and students, it's my proud privilege to welcome KVN, our own students, KV students who stood at 45th rank in the latest civil service examination. And I welcome Madam on behalf of the whole Kendriya Vidyalaya Pattam family. It's really a matter of pleasure, not only for me, for my school, it's for the whole Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan as a whole. That our KV students got so many ranks in the first 100 ranks, many are there. And we are all very proud, and we are all keeping the photograph in our websites about Safna and others are who study from Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan. So, on behalf of Kendriya Vidyalaya Pattam, welcome and really you will be a motivational person for the coming generation also. And my Kendriya Vidyalaya Pattam, we also know that many students opt these humanity teams only to be an IAS officer. That's their dream actually. They are not telling that I want to be this, but definitely they want to be an IAS officer. For that, they are opting that humanities team. Nowadays, the huge rush for humanities team also. I think indirectly, Madam is just inspiring our own children. So on behalf of KV Pattam family, I welcome Madam Safna, and I hope that the children will be able to interact. I think we can all ask questions to Madam Shafna because our own family member only. She is actually from KV, so she is our own family member only. So once again, I welcome her, and I welcome my staff members and students who are here to interact with Madam Shafna. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Before I invite Safna to speak, just a few instructions to our students. This is a formal meeting and this is also being streamed live. So a few instructions have to be met with. You can ask question to our guest. You can put it in the chat, and the last 15 minutes, maybe if the time permits, you'll also get a direct chance to talk with her. If you have any questions to ask, you can put it in the chat because we are monitoring the chat also. And the program is being streamed live. Okay. So may I, on behalf of everyone present here, may I invite Madam Safna to speak a few words to our students.
Good evening, ma'am. Is it audible?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
Respected Principal Sir, Rashmi ma'am, Faisal sir, other teachers of KV Pattam and my dear students. Good evening to every one of you. Before I start my civil services journey, I wanted to tell my little brothers and sisters here that I will tell you something that you have to follow throughout your life. It's not just from an examination point of view, but some values or some tips from my side which would be very useful for every one of you. So the first tip or first advice or suggestion, you can take it as anything, that I want to tell you is to have a dream. If you ask me what is that little thing or the different thing that I did because of which I could secure this rank, is that I had a dream. Like Rashmi ma'am told in the beginning, civil services was a dream since very young. Somewhere in 8th and 9th standard, when people used to ask me, my teachers or friends or relatives, when they used to ask me, what is your ambition or goal? I used to tell them, I want to be an IAS officer. Believe me, at that time, I didn't know what is the real job of an IAS officer. But all I knew was he or she is somebody who is capable of bringing a positive change or a positive impact in the society. I did my studies up to 10th in Kendriya Vidyalaya SAP, and Kendriya ma'am was my social science teacher from 6th to 9th standard. Social and political life textbook was my favorite textbook. And whenever she used to teach the human stories in that textbook, it used to instill some kind of emotion in me. I still remember there is a chapter about Gopal Gaya's tragedy in the 8th standard textbook. There is story of pavement dwellers in 6th standard textbook. And every single time when she used to teach these stories, I realized that we are a privileged lot. We are so privileged and blessed with so many facilities, but we fail to realize that. And there are so many people out there, maybe millions, who do not even have half of our privileges. And that was the first time I felt like, yes, I have to do something, and I am capable of doing something. And that was my motivation throughout. In this journey, in my civil services journey, there would be so many ups and downs. There would be moments when you feel that, will you be able to clear this examination? There would be so many tensed moments. You take so many practice tests, and in some test or the other, you might get a low mark. And in all those low moments or weak moments, the only thing I told myself was, remember why you started. And the reason why I started was so strong, or my objective of being a civil servant was so strong, that I could sail through the entire process, even with all these tense and difficult moments. So the first thing I want to tell my little ones out there is to have a dream, because only if you have a dream, you can work passionately for that. Everyone, I'm not asking everyone to be a civil servant. You can be a dancer, you can be a sports person, you can be a teacher, you can be an engineer, but believe in yourself. Just think that every single person have the potential. So many people would think that this is impossible, we do not have the caliber, or we do not have the potential to do this. But it's wrong. Every single person is talented. It's all about realizing our talents. It's all about realizing what we really want to become and going in the right direction. So realize your potential, realize your talent, and work towards that. Nothing is impossible. This I'm telling from my own experience. This I'm telling from my own journey. I told you that whenever people used to ask me, I used to tell them I want to become an IAS officer. But honestly speaking, till the results come, there were moments when I also thought that I won't be able to make it to the list. I won't get such a good rank. But the hard work had paid off. So once you have a dream, once you seriously wish for something and are ready to passionately work for that, everything is possible. So after realizing your dream, the next is to do the honest, consistent work. And that is the next thing that I did in my journey. I started my serious preparation in June 2018. I graduated from Marivanias in May 2018 and started my preparation from June 2018. And my results came on 4th August 2020. So it was more than a 2-year journey for me, from June 2018 to August 2020. And I can assure you that there was not even a single day that I had not studied. So that is called as a consistency or honesty in your work. Maybe 1 or 2 days after prelims. So the civil services examination has 3 stages: the preliminary, mains, and the interviews. So one or 2 days after prelims and mains, I took a break. Other than that, from June 2018 to August 2020, I had studied every single day. And you have to put in that honest, dedicated, consistent work if you have to reach your goal. That's very simple. Nobody has achieved in this world anything without the hard work, without the honest work. So what is consistency in work? Consistency is not about how you sitting and studying for some 17 hours for the 3 days because of the extra motivation that you get, and then not studying for the 15 days or 5 days. It's not consistency. Consistency is putting a good amount of work, say 7 to 10 hours of work every day. And I have put in that 7 to 10 hours of work every day from June 2018. You have to make a bit of sacrifices in this journey. You may skip some friend's marriage or relatives' marriage or some function, but it's worth it. Everybody who had made it to a good position or have achieved their dream had made sacrifices. So be ready to make that sacrifices and be honest to yourself. The next thing that I wanted to tell you is about mental health. The reason is every one of us might come or face so many struggles. I told you I had so many issues. I was tensed or underconfident at some point, but then I self-motivated myself. You have to tell yourself that you can do it. I'm a person who writes diary. So every time I used to feel low or I used to get low score in any test, or when I was not able to perform well in any peer interview or mock interview, I used to tell myself that you can do it. You have come this far. You have faced so many hurdles and you have given your best effort. So you will be able to clear this examination. So every single point when you feel low, give yourself the confidence that you can crack any examination, not just civil service examination, whatever be your dream, you will be able to crack it. And then always talk to your parents, friends, and teachers. One reason why I could make it to the first attempt itself is because of the blessings and guidance that I had throughout. I had my teachers' support who guided me, who showed me the right direction. From my school teachers, from my college teachers, and when I took coaching, I had teachers there also. So every single teacher had corrected or had shown me the right path. And then I used to talk to my parents whenever I felt low, when I felt sad. I used to talk to my parents and peer group or my friends. So all these people play an important role in your life. I'm telling you this because at this age we might not pay heed to the advice of our teachers, parents, or even our friends, but do heed to their advices, do take their guidance and obey them. Yes, you can do as you wish, but take their guidance while working or while doing anything. The next thing I want to tell you is to analyze yourself, to analyze what are your weak areas and what are your strong points. This is important in any journey. I'll tell from my personal experience, I'm a person who was afraid of speaking in front of people. I had this fear of public speaking. If you ask me, maybe Rashmi ma'am might know, when she was in KVSAP, I wouldn't come in front of stage at all. I had this huge stage fear from some 7th, 8th standard. And my mains result came on Jan 15, 2020. So I had cleared mains. After that, I went for a peer interview. The peer interview was conducted by my teachers and the students or aspirants who were going to interview that year. So before me, 2 students had given the peer interview and they gave it well. I went third and I couldn't speak. My teachers asked me some very simple questions like, how can you revive Indian economy? What will you do to improve the agriculture if you are the finance minister? Sorry, you are the agriculture minister. So she or he asked some simple questions or things that I knew, things that I could answer very confidently, but I was not able to say anything that day. I would say some 3 or 4 words and then I would sit because I was afraid of speaking. So that was a very low point. But I corrected that. I corrected the fear of public speaking from that day onwards. From that day onwards, every day I used to practice in front of a mirror. I used to practice saying answers. I used to sit in front of my teachers and say answers. I asked my friends to ask me questions so that they can answer. And I took feedback from them and improved. So this is about how you improve yourself. So every single student or every single person would have some strong points, some weak areas. When you know that you are lagging somewhere or this is your weak point, have the courage to correct yourself. That is very important in any journey. And I'm sitting here today before you only because I corrected my issues or my difficulties. So have that willingness to correct yourself. I'm telling you this because many of the students or many people would know, yes, I lag here, but we will not have that courage, or we will not be ready to accept that and correct it. But do that, because for any position or for any job of your dream, uh, it requires some skill. If you are speaking about the civil servants, they have to speak in front of people. They are somebody who are going to take decision, so they have to address a whole lot of people in their life. So if you are saying that you are afraid to speak, then you will not be selected. That's as simple. So if you know that you are having some issues or some difficulties, be willing enough to correct that. So these are the things that I wanted to tell you. Be consistent, be honest in your work, work really hard towards your goal, and then you will be able to succeed. Uh, there is nothing called as impossible at all. This I'm telling, once again, I'm trying to tell you this because I have seen people, I have seen aspirants while I went for coaching. I have seen aspirants who had stopped studying, or after one failure or after one attempt, they stopped further preparation because they lost confidence in themselves. But don't do that. If you really wish to do something, go ahead. There might be difficulties, but go ahead and face it with all courage and you will clear. So this is what I wanted to tell, or tell as my initial address. Now I'll take questions, or if you want, I'll tell about my civil services preparation.
I think you can go ahead with your civil service preparation so that they can listen and ask you questions, any doubts later. Okay,
Okay.
doing it. Go ahead, please.
So I'll tell about my civil services preparation. Like I told, I started my serious preparation from June 2018. The only thing I did before, that is, from school days onwards, I used to read newspaper, and that was one benefit I had. From some 10th, 11th standard onwards, I used to read newspaper. So newspaper reading was not a big issue for me when I started my serious preparation. So people who have civil services as their dream job or as their career option, start reading newspaper from now onwards. The advantage is, when you start your serious preparation and when you read an article, you will know the background knowledge. We'll tell it from an example. So you are reading about the India-China border dispute now, and you are reading about all the different aspects there. Some 3 year or 4 year later, you are going to give the civil services examination. Imagine some 4 years after, you are going to give the examination. And at that point, when you read India-China relation, you know the background history. You know the background history of the border dispute or our relation with China. And that is one advantage. And I had this advantage because I used to read newspaper from a very young age onwards. So people who have civil services as their dream option, start reading newspaper. And newspaper is the biggest resource in this examination. So my daily schedule would be from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Morning 2 hours, I used to read newspaper. I used to make some notes from the newspaper. So what are the things that you should read in a newspaper? To understand that, you have to go through the UPSC syllabus. There is a very detailed syllabus given by UPSC. Go through that, because without reading the syllabus, you will not know what the demand of the examination is. So the first two things that you have to do before starting your preparation is to read the syllabus. Read it some 4 or 5 times so that so that you are thoroughly what you have to learn and what you don't have to learn. So read the syllabus. Once you have read the syllabus, analyze the previous year question paper. Again, the importance of going through the previous year question papers is, you will be able to predict a question. When you read a newspaper, you will know, yes, this can be a possible question, or UPSC will ask a possible essay from this topic. So once you have gone through the syllabus, go through the previous year question paper and analyze what kind of questions are getting asked. This is again an advantage because you will know what to learn and what not to. This is very important because what happens is, when people start studying, they have so many resources, so many materials before them, and we'll go on reading, but we will not study from an examination point of view. And that is why people tell that this is a very tough examination to crack. This is a tough examination because you have a vast syllabus, plus the number of candidates appearing would be some 10 lakh, and out of it, some 900 people clear every year. That is why it's dubbed or called as a toughest examination. But if you go through a right direction, if you know what to do and if you know what not to do, this is not a tough examination. This is an examination that everyone, an average student who is ready to work hard can easily clear. So the first thing I want everyone who has civil services as their dream to do is to go through the syllabus and go through the previous year question papers. Once that's done, start with your newspaper reading. So every day morning for the first 2 hours, I used to read the newspaper and I used to make notes. Again, note making, do not make lengthy notes from the newspaper because we will not be able to revise. Newspaper notes has to be concise, has to be very precise. For example, if you are reading an editorial article about urbanization, in that particular article, he or she might explain the issues with Indian urbanization and the solution. So just note down the points. Just note down 1, 2, 3. Make pointers for some 4, 5 points about what are the issues with Indian urbanization and how can you correct them. If there are some government schemes or government initiatives mentioned there, then note that also. This is how you have to make notes from newspaper. Very crisp, concise notes that you can revise very easily. So after reading newspaper for the first 3 months, from June to August, I used to read NCRTs. We call NCRTs as the Bible of civil services examination. And it is the most important resource. The simple reason is every single topic is explained in a very simple, lucid manner in NCRTs. And once you finish your NCRTs, you have a strong knowledge base. You have a strong base. Now all you have to do is to add extra knowledge or extra information in that knowledge. So start with your NCRTs. From 6th to 12th standard, you have to read the history, polity, geography and economy. All these 4 textbooks, 6th standard to 12th standard. So the first 3 months, June to August, I finished my NCRTs. Along with that, I had taken classes. I had taken coaching classes. So 1:30 to 5:30 was my class timings. So after newspaper reading, some 10:30 to 1 o'clock, I used to finish my NCRTs. After class hours, before again starting NCRTs, what I used to do was revise the class notes. Again, that's very important because you had spent 4 hours in a class and you have taken some notes or the institute had given you some notes. You have to revise that first. Instead of going to some other material or studying some other resources, revise your class note because that gives you better retaining capacity. So what I used to do was revise my class notes. Then again, I used to read the NCRTs. For the first 3 months, once NCRTs was finished, somewhere in August, I finished my NCRTs. Then I started the standard books. For every single subject, there is a standard book being followed. For example, polity, we follow Lakshmikant's Indian Polity. For modern history, we follow A Brief History of Modern India by Rajiv Ahir. So there are standard textbooks for every subject. After finishing NCRTs, read your standard textbooks. Somewhere in October, I started taking prelims test series. So what are prelims test series? These are mock tests or practice tests that we take before the original prelims examination. Again, taking prelims test series is very important. For that matter, taking mains test series is very important because you do not know the knowledge. See, we learn so many things. We learn history, polity, geography, but you do not know whether we will be able to apply the knowledge that we have gained in an examination or not. So before the original examination itself, you have to take so many practice tests to know whether you are being able to reproduce the things that we have learned, to know which are our strong areas, which are our weak areas. Personally speaking, only after taking tests, I could analyze that economics, polity and history are my strong areas, but my weak areas were science and technology and some concepts in geography. So you can analyze yourself. You can analyze your strong areas and weak areas based on tests. So I started taking prelims test series from October onwards. Simultaneously, I started my mains preparation. Before your prelims examination itself, you have to start your mains preparation because mains is the second stage, but after prelims, you will get like 2.5 months to prepare for your mains examination. And in your mains examination, you have to study for 9 papers, 9 descriptive papers, 4 general studies paper. These 4 general studies paper would have so many topics. The first general studies paper has Indian history, world history, Indian society, Indian geography, world geography. So these are the topics in the first paper. In the second general studies paper, we have Indian polity, we have governance, we have social justice and international relations. In the third GS paper, we have economics, science and technology, environment and ecology, internal security, disaster management. The fourth general studies paper is the ethics paper. So these are the 4 general studies paper. Then you have an essay paper where we have to write 2 essays of 125 mark each. Then 2 optional paper. Optional is our choice. We can select any subject as an optional. My optional was sociology. And then there are 2 language paper, English and a regional language. So these are the 9 papers that you have to study for the main examination. So after prelims, you will get some 2.5 to 3 months to prepare for mains, and it would be humanly impossible to cover all these topics after prelims. That's why I told you before your preliminary examination itself, you have to prepare for mains. You have to complete at least half of the portion half of the mains portion. So I started my mains preparation from November 2018 onwards. I'll tell you how I prepared for mains. For mains examination, there is a detailed syllabus. There is in Indian history itself, UPSC mentions what are the topics that you have to cover. Similarly, for every subject, for economics, for governance, for IR, international relation, they have specifically told the areas that you have to study. So what I used to do was, for every single subtopic, I used to prepare note. I used to write down some 4 or 5 points. I used to find out the statistics regarding that, a government scheme. I explain with an example. There is in GS2 under social justice title, there is a heading health. So I'll find a statistic regarding health, the government expenditure regarding health, the population, the doctor to people ratio, or the bed ratio. I used to note down some statistics. I used to note down some government schemes that is focusing on the health sector. I used to prepare some notes on the national health policy. Then what are the issues with our health sector? How can we correct it? So this is how you make notes. So for every single topic in the mains, for every single mains topic, I had prepared a set of notes, a set of points that I could revise easily. So this is how I started my mains preparation. Along with preparing or studying, the other thing that you have to focus in your mains preparation is answer writing. So prelims is all about MCQ. It's an objective test. You just have to select one answer out of the 4 options given. But mains is a descriptive paper. Mains is all about how you present an answer, how you write an answer. Because every single aspirant who clears prelims study really hard for the main examination. But out of the 12,000 people who write the mains, only some 2,000 people clear. Why? Because some people are not able to write good answers. So how can you write a good answer? Again, it is practice. Even me or any aspirant have not written a very good answer in the first attempt. The first answer I wrote was average, or you can call it below average. It is with practice that you improve your answer. So 2 things you have to concentrate in our mains answer. The first is the structure of an answer. So the structure would be like introduction, body, and a conclusion. In the body part itself, there would be so many parts. See, in UPSC, mains question is not to mention fact. They will not ask you write about Swadeshi movement, but it would be a critically examined question. They would ask you to discuss about a topic or to critically analyze a topic. So there is an advantage part, there is a disadvantage part. So again, for the body part, there is you have to structure the pros or the cons as the pros and the cons. So first, concentrate on the structure of the answer. There is an intro, there is a body, there is a conclusion. In the intro part, generally what I used to do was, I used to write a statistics or a general intro. For example, there was a question about food processing sector in this year's mains. So I knew the percentage, food processing sector's percentage to India's GDP. So I had started that as my introduction. Then for the body part, you can write whatever is asked. Before concluding, I used to write a way forward. Way forward is how you can better it. See, again, writing a way forward is an advantage because it gives an impression that you are a person who is solution oriented or who can suggest solution. So before concluding every answer, I used to write a way forward. Generally, way forward would be like any committee recommendation or a government initiative or a case study. So I used to write all these, write the way forward and then conclude the answer. It can be a very general conclusion, or you can include sustainable development goals and some positive things in your conclusion. So this is about answer. So once you have got the structure correct, then work on the quality of answers. How can you improve the quality? It's by practicing answer writing. Write some 2-3 answers every day. See, all these are after your serious preparation. You can write some 2-3 questions every day once you start your serious preparation. I used to write some 2 questions every day, and then I used to correct it myself for some days. For the initial 1-2 months, I used to correct it myself. I used to Google the topic, and then I used to note down, okay, I have not written this point, but I have written this point. So I used to correct my own answer for the first 1-2 months. Then I used to give to my teachers to value it. They gave me the feedback, and depending on that, based on that, I used to work my answers. So this was my mains preparation. And I prepared for mains till March 2019. I prepared for the mains also simultaneously. Along with prelims, I prepared for my mains examination also. My prelims examination was on June 2019. So the 3 months before that, that is March, April, May. For these 3 months, I concentrated solely on prelims, because only if you clear prelims, you will get a chance to write the mains. So I wanted to, I gave my complete focus on the preliminary examination itself. So what I did during these 3 months was, I told you I had read the NCRTs, read the standard textbooks during June to March. So I started revising all these topics, revising the textbooks, revising the tests that I had taken. What is, see, again, you have to revise, because like I told in the beginning, the syllabus is quite vast. You have to study different topics or different subjects. So it would be humanly impossible to remember all these in the first or second reading. You have to read everything some 4 or 5 times so that you can retain it. You can retain it in the memory. We study Indian Constitution. I have read that Indian Constitution book, Lakshmikant's Indian Polity, some 7-8 times. Only if you revise, only with multiple revisions, concepts become more clear. You will be able to remember some articles, some constitution related facts, some judgments. So revision is the key to this examination. So the last 3 months before preliminary examination, all I did was take test, revise. It was test, identify my mistake, and revise. I used to take test, then analyze which are the areas that I get wrong answers. Then I used to give my concentration more on those areas and study those areas. I prepared notes. I tried to rectify the mistakes. So the last 3 months, I revised for my preliminary examination. During this period, I also note down the topics from the areas from where UPSC repeatedly asks questions, like national park, the reports, international organization. These are some of the topics that get repeatedly asked. Every year, you will have a question from national park in the UPSC examination. So you have to study that. So the last 3 months, I analyzed all these topics that get repeatedly asked, and I prepared separate notes for that, and I started revising this. So this was my preliminary preparation. On June 2019, June 2nd, 2019, I gave my preliminary examination. Then I took some 2-3 days break, and after that I started with my mains preparation. Again, I went through the main syllabus. I told you I had already made some mains notes. So I took those notes and started revising those notes. Along with that, every Saturday, I used to take a mains test series, a mains test. For a mains examination, you will have 20 questions. These 20 questions you have to answer in 3 hours. So in 3 hours, you have to write 20 questions. So I started taking mains test. Along with that, I used to do, the one extra thing I used to do was, I used to prepare some very concise note. I had made elaborate notes in the beginning for mains preparation. From that, I used to make some concise notes. The reason is, the mains examination happens in 5 days. In these 5 days, you have to write 9 papers. That means one day you have to write 2 papers. 6 hours you have to write examination. Morning 3 hours, you will get a break of 2 hours, and again 3 hours. And it's very taxing. It's very strenuous to write the examination for 6 hours. So I had made some concise note so that I can revise during the last week. Again, in the last week, you cannot, in just a week before the mains examination, it's not possible to go through all these 4 GS paper, the essay paper, your optional paper. It's just impossible. So make some very small pointers that you can give, that you can revise in the last moment. That is what I did during right after my prelims. Along with studying and taking tests, I used to make very concise notes that I can use in the useful last minute revision. So after my prelim, along with general paper, I want to tell about the optional paper also. My optional was sociology. So what is the difference between a general studies paper and optional paper is that you have to show your expertise in the optional paper. In the GS papers, in the general studies paper, you can write a very general answer. You can write from answers from a general perspective. But for the optional answer, you have to show your expertise. You have to use theories. You have to use thinkers. For example, when a question, when an Indian society question comes in the paper, you have to write it from a sociological perspective. You have to use the thinkers and theories that you learn. Example, in institutions like family, we have so many theories. Different thinkers have a different opinion about the institution called family. So when a question about family comes in the examination, you have to quote the thinkers, you have to write the theories and explain. So that is the difference with general studies papers and optional paper. Again, for your optional, practice answer writing, because GS answer are not similar to optional paper, optional answers. I told you, you have to show your expertise there. You have to include thinkers and theories. So again, how in the first time, when you write your first optional answer, you will not be able to include theories, or you will not be able to write the answer from a sociological perspective. But along with practice, it becomes better. Along with practice, you can write better answers. So for optional also, start with practice, start writing answers, get it corrected from somebody, take their feedback and improve yourself. This whole journey is about how you improve yourself. It's part of our growth. If you ask any person who had gone through this process, through the UPSC process, they would tell you this was one of their beautiful journeys. The simple reason being, you let yourself grow, you identify yourself more, you read about things, your perspective changes, you respect things, you respect diversity, you correct your prejudices. So this is a journey that transforms the individual, that develops so many good qualities in you. So take it like that. Take it as a process. Take it as a process where you grow, where you learn, where you respect things. So that was my mains preparation. After mains, my mains examination got over in September 2019. After that, I had enrolled for MA Sociology in IGNOU. So I had my MA examinations, first year MA examination in December 2019. For the next 2 months, October 2019 and November 2019, I was writing my MA assignments, my MA Sociology assignments. And in December 2019, I had to give my first year exam. So I was preparing for MA Sociology for the next 3 months. My mains results came on Jan 2020, 15th of Jan 2020, and I cleared it. So it was after that I started my interview preparation. Like I told you, I couldn't perform well in my first year. After that, I used to practice saying answers. I started saying answers in front of my sisters, like I told, in front of my sisters, teachers, friends. Anybody I found, I used to make them sit and I asked them to ask me questions so that I can answer. And then I took their feedback and improved. Along with that, the other thing I did for my interview preparation was to study about my own background. See, interview is not a knowledge test. They are not sitting there to assess whether you know this. They might ask you factual questions, but it is not to check your knowledge. Knowledge has already been tested in the first 2 phases of this examination, in the prelims and main stage. Interview is about assessing your personality. In interview, all the interview panel want to know is, what kind of a human being are you? Are you a calm, composed person? Are you able to take good decision? Can you handle pressure points? So they check some personality traits. So do not worry too much about interview, because I'm telling this because I'm a person who worried too much about interview. But originally the experience was very good. The panel will not stress you unnecessarily. There might be so many misconceptions regarding the interview. I have heard they'll stress you, they'll ask you questions repeatedly that you are not able to answer. Not at all. It's a very cordial board. That they would ask us questions that we do not know, because there are 5 eminent personalities who have some 40+ years of experience, and people from different walks of life. So they are so knowledgeable in front of us. In front of them, we know nothing. That's plain truth. So answer questions, answer confidently the questions that you know, and for the questions that you do not know, just humbly say, I don't know. They respect it, and then they'll ask questions from other areas. Like I told, they will not, you are not being assessed. Your knowledge is not being assessed there. They just want to know what kind of a person you are. It is a personality test. UPSC does not call it as an interview. UPSC calls this process as personality test. So your personality is being checked there. So do not worry too much about the interview. So this was my UPSC preparation, my 2-year preparation. Now I would take questions.
Thank you, Safna. 45 minutes you spoke and you summed up your 2 years of hard work. Lot of questions came up. I'll just give you the main questions. Questions regarding how you manage your time and did you find time to relax? How did you relax?
Okay, so how I managed my time was, like I told you, I used to wake up at 6:30 in the morning. So I started studying from 8 to 10, newspaper, then NCRTs. That plan used to vary depending on the subjects that I have to study. But I had not faced so many difficulties in managing time because I started the day by planning. One of the first thing I did while every day was I had two notebooks. I had two notebooks where I had just noted down what are the things that I have to learn every day. So I used to write August 1, I'm studying 2 chapters from sociology, 2 chapters from economics. So I used to plan what are the topics to be studied every day. And I never burdened myself with so many topics. I just wrote the subjects or topics that I can cover in a day. And I used to cover that with my own pace. I never used to rush to things. I used to calmly study, take my own time in understanding things. So that was my time management. The things I did to relax was one was writing diary because I'm a person who likes to write diary. I started writing diary from some 6-7 standard. So every time, whenever I felt low or whenever there was happy moments, I used to write a diary. Then I started my preparation I used to do my preparation in Fortune's reading room. So I had a very good friend circle there. Every day, some 5 o'clock, we used to go out. We used to go for a tea and then took a walk till Kavdiyar. So Fortune is at Korangodam. So we used to take a tea, go for a tea and then had a 30 minutes of walk till Kavdiyar and then we used to come back. So these were my relaxing. This is what I did to relax. After coming back home, every day I used to reach home at 9:30 p.m. After coming back, I used to talk to my parents. In between, sometimes I used to listen to music. These are the things that I used to relax. Generally, I stayed away from social media for these 2 years because I found it very distractive. Uh, I used to use social media very much during my college days. So we'll read one post with a belief that we'll stop with that post. But we used to scroll down, read all the posts in FB, Insta. So I had deactivated both my social media accounts once I started my preparation because I found it distractive. But there are aspirants who use these social media platform to gain more knowledge. Like they subscribe different journals or newspapers in FB and they used to read about it via the social media. So people had used the social media to enrich their knowledge, but I found it distractive, so I had deactivated it. So social media was. I didn't use social media to relax. I used to talk to people and I love talking to my friends and parents. So I used to talk to them to relax.
Okay. Another question was, what you study for your degree, does it matter? Can only an art student do well for UPSC?
Not at all. That is, again, that's a misconception. I took arts because I love social science. I love reading about society, about economics. I love reading these things. And I'm not so good in physics and maths. I found it so difficult to study maths. Even during my 9th, 10th standard, I used to find it difficult to learn physics. So that is the reason why I took arts, because I love art subject. But your graduation subject does not matter, because even if you analyze the result every year, BTech graduates, doctors, people from all professions are clearing this examination. A BA graduate, a BSc graduate, BTech students, doctors, lawyers, everybody is clearing this examination. Like I told in the beginning, it is the effort and work that you put in once you start the serious preparation that matters. So if you are starting your preparation from 2021, all that matters is for the next 1 or 2 years, are you ready to do that consistent and honest work? Your graduation subject, or for that matter, what you studied in 12th or 10th, does not matter at all.
Okay.
So take that subject in for your graduation that you love, that you want to study. Do not go by any compulsion. That's what I want to tell you.
Does it give an advantage if you are a humanities student?
Ma'am, in my case, it had given me an advantage because uh, you have some analytical and writing skills. In arts, while you are studying arts, you get time to read so many issues about so many things. So I could read about different issues. I used to read different journals during my college days. So like I told in the beginning, once I started my serious preparation, I had a background knowledge about some things, and that had helped me. Uh, Along with that, you get some writing skills because I think for BTech examination you have to write those derivations. For that matter, maths, physics. If you are taking science subject, you have to write those derivations and all. For an arts answer, it's about introduction, body, conclusion. So you have that set pattern already in you. So you will have some answer writing skills also.
You told it is not a test of knowledge of facts, but it's more creative and critical thinking. So children are asking how to cultivate that kind of a skill in you. What can we do in our school life?
One is reading. Read about things. Only if you read about a particular issue from different perspectives, you know that yes, this can also be an issue. What happens is we just read one article or about even if about governance, about Indian governance, we just read one article, and that might be from one person's point of view. I used to read multiple journals or multiple newspapers so that I got to know things from different perspectives. That is one way. The next thing you can do is just sit and think about it. Again, I used to do this. Whenever I used to get any topic, I used to sit and think about, okay, why is it happening like this and what you can do to correct it. Think about different things. Just sit calmly and think about it. Then you can talk to people also. While I was in school, while I was in KV Pangot, I still remember we used to watch these news every night. And next, somewhere when we get the recess time or during any free period, we used to talk about things. Especially that time, it was in 2013-15 period. So there were so many issues happening during those periods. So we used to discuss that in class. So these are the things that you can do. You can read, you can talk to people, you can talk to people with different perspectives.
Yeah, so the people you surround yourself with matters. You should have somebody, yes?
Yes.
Yes. So you should be able to talk it out with somebody else. Another beautiful question came. Was this an ambition for you or was it your dream?
It was both, ma'am. It was a dream, like I told you. It was not about the prestige or people tell this is a very prestigious examination. Yes, it is a prestigious examination. But the reason why I wanted to do this was my love for social science and my desire to do something that I can. I know every one of you cannot make huge changes, but there are some little things that every one of you can do. And I wanted to do that little things. And I believe I had volunteered with some NGOs, so I know the kind of work an NGO can do, and the kind of work that a government servant or a person who is capable enough to take decisions in the government service can do. The change that a person in civil service can do is actually huge. There are some things that they can really do, and I wanted to do those things, and that is the simple reason I wanted to clear this examination.
How about your parents' support? You chose humanities. Everybody pressurizes, okay, take science. After degree, you said, okay, no PG, I'm going for civil service coaching. So what about your parents? Their
My
support?
parental support has always been there, ma'am. Like I told, when I told my father that I wanted to take humanities after 10, he was disappointed. He wanted to make me an engineer or doctor, and he went to KVSAP. He met Premlata ma'am, and he told she's taking humanities because you taught her social science. Just tell her and convince her to take science. He actually met Premlata ma'am and told this, and she will tell you. She came to my home after the results came. She came some 3 weeks back, and she had talked to my father. Now you see, I told you, let her let her take the subject that she loved, and she had proved you, like she
Okay.
told him.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, I could convince him, ma'am. Finally, he respected my decision. I could convince him that I love learning this subject and I can really do well if I take this. If I study science, I may not enjoy. I could convince him, and he had supported it. similarly, after graduation also, there would be almost my teachers and my college teachers and friends are told to go for PG because you just have a BA and that gives you a sort of insecurity feeling. Because if you are not clearing the examination after 2 years, your friends would have a PG, and you will just remain with a UG degree. So that again gives you some pressure points. But again, I could tell him and convince him that I want to go for preparation because this was my dream. And the real reason is why not start it young? I knew even if I went for PG, after 2 years I would have come back and I would have started my preparation. So I thought, why not start young?
Okay, and one question which was it, are you idealistic or practical? Because being a civil service officer, you have to deal with a lot of practical issues.
I'm both. Every single person need to have some ideas. I believe that you have to have that qualities that make you humane. So on that side, I would be idealistic always. But again, like you told, there would be so many pressure points in this job. I have not entered the service, but from what we have seen or read, there would be some pressure points, and there would come moments when you have to think logically and take practical decisions. But I believe that in all those practical points, I do not want to give away my ideas or things that I believe. The values that I have cultivated or that I have held for so long, I want to continue with that. So in all those practical points, I want to keep those ideals with me.
Okay, one question that keeps coming up is, how did you retain your power of concentration throughout?
The concept. For me also, after some 15 to 20 minutes of studying, my concentration used to wane off. The focus period is maximum 15 to 20 minutes. But the thing you have to do is not get up from your seat, go to your kitchen or go to some other room or play or scroll down. After those 20 minutes, what I used to do was after 15 to 20 minutes, when my focus period or that focus span was over, I used to sit in my seat itself. I used to sit and study in the reading room. So I had a window seat. So I used to just look at the home. From that window, I used to look at the surroundings. For some 2-3 minutes, I used to just sit like that. I used to take my own time, and then I started studying again. So this is what I want to tell you. Every single person can concentrate continuously for some 15-20 minutes, but then don't get up from your seat and go out and sit. Just sit there. Maybe you can listen to a song, you can listen to a music, or if you can come back instantly, you can scroll down your social media account also.
Okay, one question that came was, are you afraid when you look into the future? Are you afraid?
I'm not afraid, but again, my training starts on October 12th, so I have to go back, report there by October 8th. But I'm excited. At the same time, there is a bit of tension as to what would happen there. What are we expected to do there? What kind of a training would it be? Would it be? How will it change me? So that excitement and that tension is also there, but I'm not afraid.
Okay, so that was a final question. Let me just go back to your school days. An SAP product. Have you been to the new school now?
No, ma'am, I have not been to the new school. We had an online felicitation. 2 weeks back, SAP gave me an online felicitation, but I'm not went to the new school.
Okay. How did your KV schooling help you?
KV had helped me a lot, ma'am. The first thing is that the decision itself, the decision to become a civil servant itself had started from KV, from my social science classes. That is the first thing. The second is you learn to respect things. You learn to respect the diversity. And KV instills so many values in you. And one thing I always used to tell everybody was, the thing I miss the most about KV is our morning assembly. But while I was in school, I used to think, why are they doing assembly every day? But once I went out, like once I joined college, the thing I miss the most about KV is our morning assembly. The peace of mind, the motivation, and the positive energy that our assembly gives is so immense, which we fail to realize while we are in school. But I had realized the importance of that once I went out. From that community, so everything we used to do together, that community initiatives, that love for that love for our society. Everything is instilled. I believe half of the qualities that I have is from KV, and the other half is from my parents.
Okay, so first home and second home, right?
Yes, sir.
From your home to your second home, that is your school. These were some of the important questions, and I think I've covered all the questions that came up. Thank you so much for sharing 1 hour, Safna. You have been with us. You joined
Thank
at
you,
5:30. Now it's at 6:30. Such a lot you covered, and I'm sure you gave a good roadmap for our children to follow. Thank you so much for spending 1 hour valuable time, and the tips I'm sure is going to help us future aspirants in this journey. May our vice principal sir is here. It's now the time for vote of thanks. You know how the program goes.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have to be thanked formally. May I invite our vice principal sir, Sri Amit Gupta, to propose the vote of thanks.
Yeah.
Good evening. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, Safna ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
So most respectful Safna ma'am, really it is a very, very much motivating speech from you. In my young age, I was also thinking that what special is there in the IS officer or the IS aspirants. And today I was lucky to listen you. So I really very much thankful for your keynotes. And I'm sure that the students will definitely benefit from all the views which you have shared with us. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Really
Thank you, sir.
I'm really very much thankful from my heart. It's
Thank
good
you
session.
so much, sir.
Yeah.
Good session.
It's
Thank
a
you.
wonderful session.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Safna, we had students from outside Pattam also with us.
Yeah.
Outside schools were also requested whether they could listen to your talk. So we were screening it live, so it has reached many more schools also. So that is for information. Thank you so much for spending such a lot of time with us and for giving all important tips to our students. And I remember your smile the most, and you still got that smile. So keep
Thank you,
smiling.
ma'am.
Hope the future will also be very successful for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wish you all
Thank
the
you so
best.
much,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Wish you all
Thank
the
you,
All the
sir.
very best. All the
Thank
very
you, sir.
best.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.